It's the measure of the depth in Italian football that less than a year ago, Inter and Roma fought out the final of a major European competition. Inter, in the end, bringing to the city of Milan the UEFA Cup. Rivalry renewed today in the first division. Two big clubs who need now to push hard for success over the second half of the season. Inter have been unable to score goals with any regularity. Last Wednesday, they had to wait until injury time to overcome third from bottom Cremonese. Jurgen Klinsmann offering hope of an upturn in Inter's fortune. His third goal in 4 games, but only his 4th of the season. That's part of a disappointing Inter story. Inter now under the Spanish coach Luis Suarez. They moved up to 6th in the table with that win. But Roma, who've lost 3 of their last 7 games, have now dropped down the division to 10th place. Roma certainly have a fight on their hands this afternoon. Goalkeeper Cervone is again injured, so Zinetti again deputises. And injuries also deprive them of the creative talents of Thomas Hessler in midfield and Ruggiero Rizzitelli further forward. On top of that, the coach Ottavio Bianchi has left his captain Giuseppe Giannini amongst the substitutes. Giannini, one of a number of Roma players suffering with flu, including Rudi Voller, but Voller is included in the starting 11. Well, Inter come out for their 3rd match in 8 days under Suarez, who was hired when Corrado Orico resigned 2 weeks ago. He's not tampered greatly with the personnel in the side. These all familiar names to you, I'm sure. But the tactics have been changed. Orico's strategy of zonal defending was much criticised and has been scrapped. Suarez, who as a player steered Inter to 3 league championships in the 60s, has returned to more traditional Italian values. The referee is Mauro Felicani. In the February sunshine, Inter kick-off attacking the goal to the right. Beaten just 3 times in the league this season, but they just haven't had the penetration in their attack, which is surprising given the gifts of Klinsmann, supported of course from midfield by Mateus. They've averaged only a goal a game, and an early exit from European competition didn't help either. Here's Bremer. One wonders what will happen to the trio of Germans for next season here. Certainly Bremer's future was debated much last summer, but with the support of Klinsmann and Mateus, he was kept. But a German influence on both sides today, despite the absence of Hessler. Voller, who has also taken time for his season to get going, has scored 3 times in his last 3 matches. Bergami. And Nela allowing Zinetti to get an early feel of the ball. 33-year-old goalkeeper, had 10 seasons with Bologna, but recognised as Roma's reserve to that very tall custodian, Cervone. The header from Ferri. Roma started the season with 3 away wins, but they haven't had a success on their travels since late September. But they are the possessors of one most unusual record. They played 9 away games in the league. They've scored 1 goal in each of them. No less, no more. Bianchi, who works hard up and down the right-hand side for Inter. Well, Luis Suarez, who took Spain to the World Cup finals in 1990. but was unable to do the same in the European Championships. This is encouraging for his new charges, though. Mateus with a cross. Oh, and it was swept goalwards by Berti. An early ball from Mateus. Berti poised, well balanced, but not quite clean enough contact. And news sweeping the ground here, I can only assume, from Cagliari, where Milan are playing, and judging by the reaction, it might not be good news for the followers of AC Milan. Here's Salsina. Bianchi. Oh, and no understanding that time after the earlier promising move involving Mateus. Bremer. Roma are still in the European Cup Winners' Cup, quarter-final to look forward to in that competition. Inter have the free kick. Bremer, who's so often spot on with his accuracy in these situations, will be kept in play by Berti. And that's Battistini. Well, there's an early purpose here from the home side, and Roma finding themselves being examined in the air and not always equal to that examination. Stray ball by Piacentini. Zenga. Well, Suarez will be pleased with the progress so far, but like Orico before him, making the chances, not the problem, it's the taking of them. Mateus. Now Aldair showing Roma's resolve here. And Bianchi, casualty of the Brazilians' quest for possession. Not the first injury that Bianchi has picked up this season. He's been out with hamstring trouble. This looks a different type of problem, but nevertheless a serious one. And I just wonder whether Bianchi will be able to continue for much longer. He doesn't look as though he's got really the stomach for the fight. Walter Zenga surveying the damage from far distance. That was Ferry, like Battistini a minute or two earlier, making a nuisance of himself in the Roma penalty area. Here's Klinsmann. Carboni got to it first of all for Roma, needs to go again here, and again Bianchi coming in with a certain amount of reluctance. Bremer. Well, he fires the ball across like that with so much menace. And there have been few better from the left-back position in providing chances than Andy Bremer. Foul by Bergame. All apologies to Folla. Ottavio Bianchi, recognised for his success as a coach in Naples. Well, Roma at the moment making progress through free kicks. Bonacina brought down by Bremer. Carboni getting to it. Folla chasing, and Bergame right by his side. Bergami, whose international days may well be drawing to a close. He's played 77 times for Italy, including winning the World Cup very early in that international career in 1982. Klinsmann, who of course has also had that accolade, allowed to run. Bremer. Mele saw where the ball was coming to. That was Mateus, and it was a marvellous attempt. Well, his only goals this season in the league have come from penalties, but you wonder how that has happened, given the venom in the right foot. Well, it was inches too high, but it had the crowd leaning forward then, in real anticipation. Down the years, he's so often hit the target from outside of the penalty area. But maybe another indication of how it's gone for Inter. It's been a season that hasn't quite developed for them. And of course, the contrast with the club which shares the ground here makes any shortfall that much more conspicuous. Carnevali for Roma. Good running for Carboni. Oh, and he was in a position there, having got in behind Inter, to really make a cross-tell, and he thought better of delivering the ball straight away. Inter have had several thoughts about taking off Bianchi, and now they have decided that that is the thing to do. With only 21 minutes gone, on comes Desideri. Roma know all about him. He was their player for some 5 years, until last summer. Corner to Roma. And Voller got first to it. Grateful to be back amongst the goals again. That's how he's earned his living so successfully. But handicapped by a knee problem at the start of the season. Slow to get going. Capably done on the far side by Gazia. Here's Piacentini. Carnevali couldn't get the ball under his control. Salsano doing rather better in that respect. And Carnevali looks away, hands on hips, as Roma gave him no chance of collecting. Palestini with the responsibility of organising the defence. Desideri. Klinsmann unable to do the necessary with his first touch then. There was a suspicion of offside in any case. Carnevali again found wanting. Well, both these sides short of confidence, and it's rather showing at the moment. Carnevali, past his 30th birthday, the one-year suspension was a real blow for him, but there have been signs since he was released from the ban earlier this season that he can still be a force at this level of the game. And Inter let him go there and couldn't prevent the shot coming in. Nice work by Klinsmann. And he won't quite get there. Naylor came across and not only won the ball for Roma, kept it in play. Bergami getting in quickly. This is De Marchi. And Salsano with space to move into. Ola trying to take up a position alongside him. And Bremer came back, knocked the ball against Bergamy. And now he's overdone it. Bonacina asking Carnevali to fight for that one. Carboni. Well, there were promising signs for Inter earlier in the half, with their ability to take up positions near the touchlines and deliver crosses with some menace. But now Roma with Vola looking to force a path through here. And they'll still have the ball at the free kick. Consistent play by Fola. Carboni taking it on, and then tripped by Ferri. Well, Fola, who has been suffering with this bug that's been going around the Roma camp, rather coughing and spluttering there. Now, what can Roma manufacture here? Salsano just changing the angle slightly. Battistini not clearing the danger. Fola. Like a good golfer replacing the divot. Well, Suarez has fielded a side today that includes 7 players who were in the championship winning team of 1989. But the self-belief that they showed as they carried all before them in that season, not really on view consistently here, for all the prompting of Mateus. The running of Berti. Fontelan's been on the edge of the match so far. Bremer, who might well carve out a chance. Ferri trying to join in from the back. Here's Desideri. Now Bergamy, more sustained pressure here, but Roma able to see what's happening in front of them, and they'll let Klinsmann turn at the end of it, which certainly wasn't in the Roma plan. They got away with it, but only just. Inter putting their passes together, and then suddenly Klinsmann got the better of De Marchi, and then there were major problems. The outcome is a corner. Klinsmann trying to get free. De Marchi trying to be more diligent in his covering of him this time. Fontelan looking to flick it on. Baggio was right in there, and in the end it's bowled away by Zanetti. Salsano was fouled by Berti. He's very open with his emotions, Nicola Berti. But I don't think there was any doubt there that the referee was right. Headed away by Dino Baggio. Klinsmann. Well, he's worked out now that De Marchi is there for the taking, because he's getting too tight on the German. Klinsmann spinning away, and De Marchi, fortunate really not to collect a yellow card then. Fontelan trying to come up with the same sort of move against Gazia, but actually he was doing the pushing. Just a question now of the time referee Felicani will add on for stoppages at the end of a first half which has promised plenty, but in truth has really failed to deliver too much. Klinsmann has been a thorn in Roma's side, particularly the defender deputed to mark him man for man, Marco De Marchi, who's on loan at Roma from Juventus. Well, the last chance for Inter, surely, to nose their way in front before the half-time whistle goes. Anything is possible at a Matteus free kick. He's seen that the goalkeeper's looking to come for a cross, but a cross it is. The linesman was flagging, and the referee once more, well, he blows for half-time now, and Roma with more to be pleased about, simply because as the away side, a draw is the better outcome for them than it would be for Inter. Not too much to trouble Zenga. Giannini waiting for the call, perhaps. At half-time, it's Inter 0, Roma 0. Roma to start the second half. This hasn't been a very good ground for them in recent times. They've lost their last 6 league visits here to play Inter. And of course, earlier this season, they were swamped by Milan here by 4-1. Have to go back to the 1980-81 season to find their last victory against Inter at San Siro. But 0-0 so far, and for Ottavio Bianchi, who is being mentioned in some quarters as a possible Inter coach next season. Suarez only being given the job until the end of this season so far. But Ottavio Bianchi pleased enough, I'm sure, that Roma come out for the second half still level, and in the formative stage of the second half, an opportunity to make something at the expense of Zenga, perhaps, at this free kick. Salsano over the ball, Carboni is poised, one of 3 players, but it does go to Carboni. Zenga not too pleased, but he very rarely is with his teammates. When you've played 54 times for your country, well, I suppose you're entitled to criticise them. Giannini from the sickbed to the substitutes bench, and maybe now in the second half onto the pitch, signs that that could happen. Berti going in. He does time his runs from midfield well. Having a good look at the cross before it was into the penalty area, but it really took too long for him to drop. Matteus. Baggio, who has played for Italy this season, the other Baggio, really. Matteus, it's a great chance, the best that Inter have had. And in the end, it was neither one thing nor the other. Well, Roma should have paid the full price for letting Matteus get into that position. It was very close. Had it been pulled back as a cross shot, well, maybe Klinsmann or Fontolan could have finished it off. But it's another little cameo of Inter's season. Well, Roma recognise the need to just improve their second half performance, and Vola is certainly suffering. Giannini, one would hope, in somewhat better health, but the two of them together, neither really in full athletic order. Well, the captain's armband hasn't passed to Giannini. A surprise in that. Piacentini has been given the responsibility. Still more than half an hour for Giannini to play. And Piacentini, with the responsibility, goes a caution. Well, he turned Matthäus then, but I must say the incident alone didn't seem to merit the punishment. Roma, and they're caught offside in abundance. Dino Baggio, one of the culprits. Roma happy to take their time at any stoppage and let the match glide by. Oh, and Fontelan, little kick into the Achilles tendon of Naylor then, to suggest that Inter are feeling some frustration. Matthäus trying to link up with Baggio, bumping into Salsano. Carnevali, who got the winning goal last week for Roma against Verona. Only his second in the league since his return to availability in October. But he has been picking up goals in the European competition. Giannini getting himself into trouble here. That was a bad tackle on Berti. Fontelan, good turn. Well, if he goes down here, something might be in the offing, but the referee, as you saw, was very well placed to evaluate. Salsano on the counter-attack, and Carnevali wanted the ball played through the centre. It didn't come. Meanwhile, the Inter fans wondering whether there should have been a penalty. Maybe if Fontelan had gone down instantly, he might have got one, but it seemed to me he thought about it. And was actually just trying to get into the area, and that angle proved quite conclusively the referee absolutely right. Carnevali. Here's Giannini. Carnevali going forward now, and Giannini holding on too long. Fontelan. Matthäus, who wasn't the best of passers. Matthäus tries again. Klinsmann. Roma. Perfect position for him. Oh, it was a fine cross. And Battistini came hurtling in. Got to it very bravely indeed, got on top of the ball, headed it down, and it skipped up over the bar. That was as good as Inter have produced here, and it really deserved a better fate. The approach play was well defined, it just lacked the finish. How often have Inter had to say that this season? Even in the limited time under Suarez, it's been eventful for them. They were 2 up against 10 men against Foggia a week ago, and it finished 2-2. Then they had to wait until injury time to get the winner against Cremonese, a match that was abandoned earlier in the season and restaged 4 days ago. Now, Inter, through their supporters, trying to claim a foul on Klinsmann, is still chasing. Well, Roma won't be too pleased to see Ciocci come on the second Sunday of the season in the Olympic Stadium in Rome. Ciocci made a late appearance as a substitute and earned a penalty, which Matthäus put away for the only goal of the game. Bergami is the displaced person to allow Ciocci's entrance. Roma. Fontelan wants the corner and Aldair can't prevent him getting it. Roma scampering across to take it. Senka adding his words of encouragement from the far end of the ground. A goalless draw here would not be regarded by Inter, although they have forced the pace, as any sort of triumph. Last season they beat Roma twice on this ground, 2-1 in the league and 2-0 in the UEFA Cup first leg. Carnevale. It's important for Roma to hold the ball up when they do get into the Inter half. They haven't been doing that with any great regularity, but Carnevale had more success here against Ferry in earning a free kick. Aldair has come forward and Demarchi, the number 5. Carnevale not to be neglected by Inter in the middle. Oh, and it flew across the face of the goal from Giannini, and it's a corner. The ball just brushing the fingertips, did it, of Zenga, or maybe touched Mateus earlier in its flight. Salcedo. Space now for Piacentini. Salcedo. Roma still well represented, but not able to reach the cross. Brought out by Ciocci. Salcedo gets it back, and then, having tackled well, just touched the ball too strongly. Roma. Well, if it was a boxing match, you'd have Inter ahead on points for having more of the ball, but Roma trying to put their lesser share of possession to better use. Mateus. Berti able to chest it down and stride on. Aldair sided him down. Well, that was a desperate moment for Roma, and it required desperate remedies. There were other defenders behind Aldair, so he spared the red card, but undoubtedly the referee right to produce the yellow. And I think some professional understanding there between Berti and the player who rather assaulted him. Well, Suarez praying now that the pressure will produce a goal, and one goal would be enough to win it, one feels. Mateus out nobly came Carboni. Battistini, Ferry trying to switch the point of attack. The ball holding up well on the pitch for Fontelan. Klinsmann claiming he was bundled over at the near post, referee having none of it. Carnevale, good running here by Piacentini. Carnevale wants it rolled back to him, and he'll now have to react to that request. It's a corner to Roma. Much better second half. Salcedo, good control by Giannini. Berti getting to him, pushing him really. Aldair had the shot. Oh, and if that had Ricochet to Salsano. Roma might have been in. Instead they have the throw. Montalan coming back to help Inter regain possession. Bremer. Inter want the ball moved forward more quickly, certainly the fans did, and I suspect the players as well, but it wasn't possible. It happens now from Zenga's clearance. Well, we're into the last 15 minutes. And here's Desideri. Fontolan. Klinsmann thought about spinning into a first-time shot, decided against that. Wants Bremer to knock the ball in. That's way below his normal standards. Just looking to clip it. In the end, under-hit ball. Fontolan has made real progress now. This is a great chance for Inter, and Ciocci, you sensed as he drove it low. Inter were going to have a goal to salute, a goal that they would certainly feel they deserve. Not too much wrong with the shot, except that Zanetti, remember the reserve goalkeeper for Roma, produced an excellent save. Oh, the goalkeeper was nowhere that time. It was Ciocci again, I think. And the ball flicked off the top of the bar. And surely Inter are going to get some success soon. Look where the goalkeeper was. He was in no position to make a save. Had it been millimetres lower. Bremer. Well, two teams here whose records show a goal a game, which is not a very bright record indeed. Are they going to produce one here? Oh, Carnevale must do! Oh dear, he was falling over as he pulled back the right boot, and no one needs to tell him that this, at this level of the game, was a golden opportunity. You get few chances such as that, and Carnevale wasted it. So for all Inter's probing and the opportunities that they have made, they could have been staring a defeat in the face if Carnevale had connected as he should have done. Mateus. Mateus again. Is the shot on? He likes to hit them with the right foot. He might be able to do that. And Bonacina was the player who got back for Roma. Inter surrounding the referee, and Mateus, who chased back, feeling very hard done by, gets booked for his protests. He's continuing them. Well, we'll see here. Naylor had to let him go. Bonacina nudging and hoping. And De Marchi actually held his right foot back. Mateus was looking to go over it, but it wasn't there. Well, the referee about to draw a veil over proceedings here. The second half, much more eventful. But you've seen in one match here, really, the story of Inter's progress, or rather lack of it, in the Italian First Division. Certainly amongst the favourites as the season began to challenge for the title. But just 18 goals in 19 games, or will the 19th come in the nick of time here? No. And the complaints are that there was a dive by Fontolan, and that's the way the referee saw it too. Zanetti trying to act as a peacemaker. Desperate measures here for Inter. Fontelan had lost the ball. He'd lost the ball. And once more, the referee, Felicani, I think, got it absolutely right. All credit to Zinetti for a good performance in the Roma goal. They haven't missed Cervone. They have missed a very good chance from Carnevale at a stage when Inter really were in control and threatening to get a victory that their fans would believe that they should have had. But they huffed and puffed, but they couldn't blow the Roma house down. And although the second half was much more entertaining, the game has finished Inter 0, Roma 0. Juventus warmed up for next week's crucial confrontation with Milan by recording their biggest win of the season. Roberto Baggio's third-minute penalty set the tone against Foggia, who served up their usual mixture of fragile defence and forceful attack, Signori troubling Tacconi. Paolo Di Canio in for the injured Toto Schillaci for Juventus, his cross causing confusion, Padolino clearing under his own crossbar. But Padolino, who conceded the first penalty, hadn't become wiser for the experience, dumping down Di Canio. Baggio against Rosin. Again, same side, same result, 2-0. His third, 2 minutes later, really was a masterpiece and a warning to Milan for next Sunday. It was all too much for Foggia's coach, Zdenek Zeman, ejected from the bench for persistent complaints to the referee. Oddly, Foggia fared rather better after that. They're always likely to score, of course. Signori setting up the Romanian Dan Petrescu, 3-1. And Juventus would have faced a nervous finale if Rambaudi had struck for a second here, which really he should have done. Foggia still flying forwards and paying the price with only seconds to go. Casiraghi all alone from Marocchi's cross. Juventus 4, Foggia 1. Milan had beaten Cagliari, but only 1-0 at home in September, and in Sardinia, a sensational start to the game. Pier Paolo Bisoli waltzing through the league leaders to score for the first time in a First Division match. Milan a goal down after just 3 minutes. And with the Cagliari keeper Yelpo getting the better of Frank Rijkaard, it stayed that way until half-time. Although Rijkaard was left looking in disbelief that this header passed outside the post. But 8 minutes into the second half, Marco van Basten almost single-handedly solved Milan's problems. First, he reacted smartly to deflect in a less than menacing shot from Albertini. Ruud Gullit's awareness of van Basten's positioning provided Milan with a second 16 minutes later, and Cagliari couldn't come back from that. Their confusion at this stage emphasised by Chiti's unnecessary handball. And for Van Basten, a penalty to provide a hat-trick in consecutive games. He'd missed last Sunday's match against Ascoli with flu, you may remember, after 3 goals at home to Foggia prior to that. 16 in 17 appearances now, a tremendous tally. Daniele Massaro made the most of some messy Cagliari defending, 4-1, and those first-half anxieties, distant memories for Milan at the final whistle. Lazio looking to complete a double over Torino and looking good after 28 minutes. Thomas Doll sent flying by Luca Marchegiani. Ruben Sosa rifling in the penalty. Remember, he'd missed against Parma last week. But Annoni soon rounded off a perfect corner routine and Torino leveled until Claudio Sclosa produced one of the goals of Lazio's season to send the home side in at half-time, 2-1 up. Valerio Fiori a focal point now. The 22-year-old Lazio goalkeeper stopped Pollicano, giving Torino a second equaliser. But then he handled outside the penalty area as Bresciani broke clear. Fiori sent off, Ruben Sosa taken off to allow the reserve goalkeeper Orsi to come on. And how well Orsi played, saving bravely here at the feet of Lentini. And Lazio's 10 men held out thanks to another excellent effort by Orsi at the expense of Cravero, an enthralling match in the Olympic Stadium. Napoli haven't shown many scars from their 5-0 mauling in Milan a month ago now. A comfortable passage against Cremonese. Careca cleverly creating the opening goal, Gianfranco Zola's 9th of the season. The headlines, though, went to their French sweeper, Laurent Blanc, who was brought to Italy an eye for goal. Blanc making it 2-0 18 minutes before half-time. The only worry for Napoli, complacency. Signs of overconfidence here, but although Cremonese put some passes together, there was little danger in the shot from De Zotti. Crippa's corner gave Blanc a carbon copy of his first goal after 54 minutes. 3-0 the final score. Though Cremonese could complain of rough luck at Marcolin's fine free kick. Napoli have taken 7 points out of 8 since that thrashing at San Siro. Bari had won their 2 previous home games and needed to maintain that improvement against Parma. David Platt again recognising his responsibilities. But Ozio caught Bari out with a subtle pass and Di Chiara did the rest for Parma. 1-0. From Ozio's free kick, had Minotti not mistimed his contact with the ball, the game might have been over. It should still have been when Calcaterra, with a second cautionable offence, brought Bari down to 10 men 4 minutes before half-time. Parma pressing for a second goal here. Alessandro Melli beating goalkeeper Beato, but not the covering Robert Gianni. Crucial that because Fortunato found a perfect header from a Boban free kick with 21 minutes left, and Bari had pulled a point out of the fire. The achievement of the day belonged to Ascoli, 1 win and 12 defeats in 18 games, but a more satisfying afternoon coming up against Atalanta. Even though Benetti's off-target header is greeted as a major miss, Ascoli don't make too many chances. Bianchese's break here for Atalanta, and Canigia in the centre could have done better. Into the second half, and Trollio just wide from the free kick. Set pieces, the secret though of this rare Ascoli success, with Dianzara's corner, Aloisi connecting perfectly, and smiles all round for Ascoli. And those smiles stayed even when Lucio Bernardini was sent off. Second booking for handball. Nothing could spoil Ascoli's delight, their second win this season. Sampdoria away at Verona without the suspended Gianluca Vialli, who'd missed a penalty at home to Verona back in September. The relevance of that apparent here when Roberto Mancini was brought down by the former Sampdoria captain, Luca Pellegrini. Goalkeeper Gregori certainly moved and perhaps distracted Mancini. No retake though, and no goals in the game. Mancini to Vierkovod now, who couldn't spare Mancini's blushes at the penalty miss. Renato Busso, the deputy for Vialli, reacting to Cerezo's flick from Mancini's corner. Sampdoria unbeaten now in their last 8 games, without really suggesting they're the side they were last season. With Genoa's UEFA Cup tie against Liverpool drawing closer, their strengths and weaknesses becoming clearer and clearer. Bortolazzi caught in possession in the opening seconds by Dunga. A perfect pass for Gabriel Batistuta. Genoa with only 1 shutout in their last 12 league games. They are generous to their opponents. But Thomas Scuravi is a tower of strength for them. Ruotolo crossing well, but still plenty for Scuravi to do to place his header in for the equaliser. The match became easier for Genoa when Iachini was sent off for 2 yellow cards. Aguilera, always on the same wavelength as Scuravi. 2-1, Scuravi's 6th goal in 3 matches. Maiolaro trying hard to stop the game slipping away from Fiorentina. But Aguilera picked them off with his precision at free kicks. He was very unlucky here. But spot on in the second half, planting the ball onto the head of Nicola Caricola. 3-1 to Genoa, 18 minutes after half-time. Branco, the Brazilian with the unbelievable left foot, has been affected by injury this season, but the signs are that he's back at his best. One factor Genoa can't influence, refereeing mistakes. Batistuta certainly handled the ball here, but his second goal was allowed. Genoa, though, after 3 consecutive defeats, grateful for their first league win since December the 8th. Two losses in 4 days have increased Cremonese's problems on a rare day of triumph for Ascoli. Bari back up to 16th place thanks to Fortunato's late equaliser at home to Parma, a point too for Verona in their efforts to keep out of the bottom 4. After our featured game, Inter stays sixth. Their eyes now on qualifying for next season's UEFA Cup, but there is plenty of competition in that respect. At the top, the 5-point gap remains after identical 4-1 wins for Milan away to Cagliari and Juventus at home to Foggia. Both teams also produced a 3-goal individual hero. Marco van Basten adding to his list of achievements with a second consecutive hat-trick for Milan. And next week, he and Milan take their considerable talents to Turin for the showdown of the season. If Juventus fail, the two-horse race will be reduced to one. Roberto Baggio has a great responsibility, but the signs against Foggia were that he really is ready to shoulder it.